The United States of America, the so-called leader of the free world, just got locked out of Europe's airspace. France said no, Italy said no, Spain said no, Switzerland said no. In the span of 48 hours, 4 major Western nations looked at the United States of America and said, "We don't want any part of what you're doing. You're on your own, Donald." Let that satisfaction sink in for a second. The country that built NATO, the country that has projected military power across the globe for 7 decades, just got told by its own allies that it can't fly its planes over their countries. That is not a minor diplomatic spat. That is not a little disagreement between friends. That is the sound of the post-World War II international order cracking in half right in front of our eyes. And I need you to understand something before we go any further here. This didn't happen because these countries suddenly hate America. This didn't happen because the French woke up one morning and decided they wanted to pick a fight. This happened because Donald Trump, the man sitting in the Oval Office, has spent his time in power systematically destroying every single relationship the United States has built over generations. He threatened NATO. He attacked allies. He cozied up to dictators. He launched a war in Iran without consulting anyone. And now he's shocked that nobody wants to help him. I mean, how dumb do you have to be? Look, let's walk through this piece by piece because the details here are staggering when you actually lay them all out on the table. So here's what happened. France and Italy officially joined Spain and Switzerland in denying the United States any military support or airspace for Trump's war in Iran. And it's not just the US that got shut out. Israel wanted to use French airspace to transport American weapons that were going to be used in the Iran conflict. And France said, absolutely not. France flat out refused. And Italy? Italy told the United States that if they want to use Italian military infrastructure for purposes outside of existing agreements, they need special permission. And guess what? Trump's Iran war doesn't fall under any existing agreement. So the answer from Italy was no. You don't get to use our country as a pit stop for your unauthorized military adventure. Now think about that for a second. These are NATO allies. These are countries that have stood shoulder to shoulder with the United States through the Cold War, through the Balkans, through Afghanistan, through countless military operations over decades. And in the span of a few months, Donald Trump has managed to alienate them so completely, so thoroughly, that they won't even let American planes fly over their territory. That's not just a policy disagreement, that's a full-blown divorce. And what was Trump's response to all of this? Did he reflect? Did he pause and think, maybe I should have talked to my allies before launching a major military operation in the Middle East? No, of course not. This is Donald Trump we're talking about. He went on the attack. He accused France of blocking military equipment. He attacked France and the United Kingdom throughout the day. He basically threw a tantrum like a child who got told he can't have dessert and then flipped the table over. And then, and this is the part that should make every American sit up straight in their chair, Trump said the United States should consider withdrawing from NATO. Let me say that again so it really lands. The President of the United States suggested that America should pull out of the military alliance that has been the backbone of Western security since 1949. An alliance that was specifically created to prevent the kind of catastrophic global conflicts that killed tens of millions of people in the first half of the 20th century. Trump wants to throw that in the garbage because France wouldn't let his planes fly over their country for a war he started without asking anyone. And it wasn't just Trump. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, went on Fox News and echoed the exact same thing. And I want to break down what Rubio said because the framing he used is so dishonest, so manipulative that it deserves to be pulled apart word by word. Rubio said, and I'm paraphrasing the substance here, that he used to be one of the strongest defenders of NATO in the Senate because he saw value in it. He said NATO wasn't just about defending Europe, it was about having military bases in Europe that allowed the US to project power around the world. But now, he said, if NATO means we can't use those bases when we need them, then what's the point? Then it's a one-way street. Then we're just there to defend Europe, but when we need help, they say no. Here's the reality of what Rubio just did there. He reframed the entire situation to make it sound like America is the victim, like America has been this generous benefactor, just giving and giving and giving to ungrateful Europeans who won't return the favour. But that is a complete distortion of what's actually happening. The reason these countries are refusing to cooperate isn't because they don't value the alliance. It's because Donald Trump launched an unlawful war, a war that none of these countries were consulted about, a war that none of them agreed to, a war that violates international norms. And then he showed up at their door demanding they participate. That's not how alliances work. That's not how partnerships work. You don't ignore your partners, go rogue, start a fire, and then get mad when they won't help you put it out. And let's talk about what Rubio said regarding the Strait of Hormuz, because this was equally disturbing. Rubio basically said, yeah, the Strait of Hormuz is international waters, and what Iran is doing there is illegal under maritime law. But then he said, it's not really America's problem. The US doesn't get much energy through the strait. It's Europe's problem. It's Asia's problem. Let them deal with it.